right kind of art, because like, look, people can say a range. Okay, wait. Do you want me to give you explanations, or do you want me to just like run arguments?
Well, you can do both. I'll be willing to just listen. I could listen. You're okay.
Well, because sometimes people want to fucking debate. They just want to go at it. They don't want to fucking hear like theory or something. Like, do you want to just debate or?
Well, theory would be nice. Like I've been looking into like
Okay,
certain like
no, that's
literature,
fine.
philosophy, and such. Yeah.
We can kind of back and forth between theory and debating and stuff, I guess. So yeah, so here's the theory part, right? So the theory part is like, sorry, I'm echoing a bit through you and it's tripping me out.
Oh, let me just
Um,
mute. I'll mute up.
yeah, or push to talk or whatever the fuck works for you. Okay, yeah. So the theory part is kind of like when we're trying to determine the right interpretation. Rightness is a normative term, right? Right. Yeah. What a way to end that sentence. The idea is a term like right has got to be with respect to some standard. Because it's not clear what the fuck it means to talk in what's called like a categorical way about normativity. To just say X is right. And it's like, what do you mean by right? It's just right. Like that just seems kind of fucked. It
Yeah,
seems
it's
like,
just a circular
well,
answer. I know what you mean. Yeah.
well, it doesn't have to be circular. They don't have to say like they don't have to give an inference that's circular or something like this, or just explain a term in terms of itself. But what they like with categoricity, basically, what people want to do is they want to go, it's not right with respect to something, it's just right full stop, right? There's a difference between saying it's right because it's right, which is a circular reason for saying it's right, right? You're explaining why it's right, you're giving a because, and then the reason why is the very thing you're claiming, right? It's right is the claim. Why is it right? Because it's right. That's a circular claim, right? That's like, that's
Yeah.
circular. But it's not circular necessarily to say something is right, you know, just not with respect to anything. It's just right. And that kind of claim, now I don't understand. And I don't think there's any fucking good. This is like one of those things where I think people who are doing like moral philosophy here may as well be doing like theology or like astrology or some shit, right? Like I think they're in just like in crazy land, even though it's like a completely acceptable, kind of view to take in philosophy that there's like categorical normativity. It's like it seems fucking insane to me. So there's people who want to say it does make sense to talk like that. They're going to want to say, you know, some things are just right, full stop. They're not, it's not like it's right to get a glass of water if you're thirsty, or the right thing to do if you want to take a shit is sit on the toilet, right? It's not like that. There's things that are just right, categorically, not with respect to things. So, okay. So anyway, when we're talking about the right interpretation, unless we get someone, so here's the different paths. There's like a few kind of paths it can go down, right? So someone can try to argue that there's some kind of categorically normative thing going on with interpretation in terms of what interpretation is right. There's some like categorically normative kind of like reason that one interpretation is right. Now, I don't think that's going to be a common response, but if someone were to give that kind of response, you can just get into all of this philosophy around like, okay, well, how the fuck do we even make sense of categorical normativity? And I think as long as you have a rough sense of the terrain there and you're not dealing with someone who's like really like deep in the philosophy, they've really got their work cut out for them. On the other hand, they could not argue for categorical normativity, but try to argue that sure, normativity is hypothetical, something is right with respect to something else, with respect to some goal. But the goal that we should be concerned with here is not accurately capturing author intent, right? So that's like a second kind of path, right? So the first path is you try to say there's some categorically normative fact going on here. Um, and the categorically normative fact obviously is not about author intent. That pathway you can just fight back by talking about what the fuck is categorical normativity. The second pathway is you don't try to argue from categorical normativity. You grant that it's all kind of hypothetical normativity, but you say that the hypothetically normative goal that we should have here isn't isn't accurately capturing author intent. I think that's going to be a more common thing, but still I don't think that's going to be this common. And now we're kind of full circle. The reason why I say it's good you're arguing from author intent is that actually I think most people will agree that author intent is what determines or is what we're trying to capture when we try to get the right interpretation. Most of us are aiming for what the author intended because the author kind of created the thing. It's like we want to understand what they meant, right? So once you're arguing about author intent, then you're kind of out of all of this philosophical territory. Like you don't have to talk about all this fucking kind of complicated shit about normativity, categorical and hypothetical, blah blah blah. Once you're talking about author intent and the other guy agrees that what you're trying to do is capture author intent, at that point it's just an empirical debate and you can just start talking about the actual literature. Well, I guess in this case, as literature the right word, you can start talking about the actual manga, right? And you can start talking about, okay, well, like, here's my empirical case, not a philosophical case. Here's an empirical case for why I think the author intended X, right? If the author intended B, it wouldn't make much sense for them to have said C, right? That kind of argument is going to start coming up, and I've heard you say things like that, right? So yeah, it's a lot of talking, it's a lot of theory, but just the quick like 15-second recap is three main pathways: categorical normativity. You can push back by going like, what the fuck is that? Um, Hypothetical normativity, but the goal isn't author intent. Well, I didn't talk about how to deal with that, but there's some strategies there. And then hypothetical normativity, the goal is author intent. Well, then it's just an empirical battle, and you can probably draw on like all of your data and stuff, and just try to make the case for what the author meant.
Right. So I think it was attack pathway 2 is probably going to be the most amount of leeway that I can get. It would seem.
What do you mean, number two? Like that's the most trouble you'd have?
Oh no, no, the one where I think I would have the most how do I word it? It's like I think I'm most comfortable with it. I think is the best way I could probably say how I feel about going about that.
Yeah, well, if it's not about author intent, it's like, what do you think we're trying to do when we
Oh no, no,
talk
no.
about the
Oh no, I meant it. Yeah, I was talking about. Yeah, I'm appealing to the authorial intent route. I'm saying, yeah, like
number three?
yeah. Oh,
Number
I
three,
probably
yeah.
mixed them up. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, number one is the categorical normativity stuff. If you don't fully get what that is, that's fine. I wouldn't like expect you to, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
number one's categorical normativity stuff. Number two is hypothetical normativity, but not about author intent. And then three is hypothetical normativity about author intent. And then on three, it's like an empirical fight that you probably are pretty like ready for.
Yeah, so I guess with number three, like there's just a preponderance of evidence that that this more nuanced, updated version is what captures the author's true intent in virtue of the other version of what the what's gonna call it of what that one had to say. It was very if I had to put it into words, it was very weird to say the least. It was kind of like unneeded expedition in a sense. That's what I got from it anyway.
What was unneeded expedition?
Oh, like I think the final message was like something around the lines of, "Oh, this is the end of like the adventure of Goku and his friends, yada yada." And then the last part was the Earth is going to be safe because of the in virtue of the Dragon Balls. Well, the downside with that to be the downside to that would be once the Dragon Balls have been used, they become inert for such a long period of time. Whereas the what's it call it in the other new version of it, the updated perfect edition was what they call it. They say the Earth is going to be protected in virtue of all the amazingly strong fighters that the Earth houses. So I think it's more accurate to go with that than than to arbitrarily say that the Dragon Balls is what's going to keep the Earth safe, because the fighters from the actual show don't become inert, whereas the Dragon Balls do once you use them.
Uh, okay, I'm not sure I followed all that. With So one second, let me just think about all this. So You okay? Because we can talk about the case for the author intending a given thing. That I won't know as much about that because that's obviously going to be like it's going to be like Dragon Ball data. I don't really know a lot about that. Um, I can comment on it though,
Hmm.
but there's also like within like so I kind of want to talk about one level up for a second where we talk about someone tries to like say something else matters than author intent.
Right.
Like I mean, someone could try to say that they're just trying to capture something else, right? When they talk about what's accurate, right? Or what's the right interpretation. Maybe they're trying to capture like the interpretation that under which they most enjoy the story or something like that, right? Like they
Right.
could they could say that they have some other goal or like the interpretation that like most makes them want to like eat waffles. Like it could be anything, right?
Yeah.
Um but I think that the whole point if someone does that is you have to point out, oh, okay, it's fine. Maybe you're right if we're talking about if correctness is with respect to whatever interpretation makes you the happiest. But my claim isn't when I say correct, that's not what I mean, right? So you're engaging with something else. I'm
Hmm.
talking about author intent. I'm talking about what the author was actually trying to convey here. And with respect to author intent, I think my point holds. Right. So it's almost like it's really, really easy to deal with that second kind of layer when someone tries to say, oh, well, I'm not trying to capture author intent, right? You don't try to argue about what's the right, like there's not some, this is going to be complicated. Fuck it. There's not like a second order fact here about
Hmm.
like what's like what's the right thing to consider right. You hear how it's second order because it's like the right thing to consider right. Is the right thing to consider right the interpretation that makes you happiest or the one that accurately captures author intent? And I take a view that there's not a fact of the matter about that, right?
Hmm.
So this that second layer when they try to say they're trying to capture something other than author intent, I don't think you want to fight back by going, well, no, like we should be trying to capture author intent and blah blah blah. Like I think the response is just to go like, well, I'm talking about author intent. And with respect to author intent, I think I'm right. Do you agree? Right? You just kind of point out what they're saying is irrelevant. You don't care one way or the other. You're talking about author intent.
Right. It kind of sounds like they're going on this red herring. It kind of reminds me of what's his
Yes.
name?
Yeah.
It was with IHIP. He was like, "Oh, your position doesn't mean anything. Whether or not your position is meaningful is a separate question. It's not actually attacking the position." Is that what I'm
Yeah,
hearing?
that's exactly right. Red herring is the technical term, yeah.
Okay.
So if someone tries to say, well, with respect to something other than author intent, I think that a different interpretation is right. It's like the answer to that is just that's addressing a different question. I'm not talking about what interpretation is right with respect to some other standard than author intent. I'm just talking about the interpretation that is most likely capturing the author's intent.
Yeah, and then I would ask him, "Well, if we're not appealing to author intent, what is it that we go by? What standard? What criteria?"
Well,
What?
they could say anything. They could say, the I want the interpretation that makes me most happy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's about enjoying the story. I have like a love of fiction and even if it's not exactly what the writer meant, like I'm going to take the interpretation that, you know, feels the best to take.
Yeah, there's those people as well, unfortunately.
Well, they're not doing anything wrong is the point. They're just talking about a different question, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm not saying that's necessarily wrong. It's just like, kind of troublesome or, kind of bothersome in certain aspects when you're debating them and such.
Well, not when you learn to point out that it's irrelevant, because it's just like I don't even know if we disagree. Maybe the interpretation where like Goku is actually like a llama hybrid or something is like that. Maybe that makes you really happy, and that is the right interpretation if rightness is with respect to making you happy.
Hmm.
That's just not what the fuck I'm talking about, right? It's like it's all red herrings are always the same. Once you know where the red herring is, like this is one of those things where you just have to be sensitive to it. You just have to go, are the if it you just have to have a little alarm of like if the person starts talking about something other than author intent, they're not talking about the same topic anymore. You can just say, oh, it doesn't matter that I could grant that or not. That's not what I'm even talking about.
Hmm. Yeah, like, what they would try to do is, well, I find this most common is that they'd try to steer away as to what they think like not what they think rather, but what they want the story to be, interpreted as and portrayed to be. They'll like try to convey it to you in a sense. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's just kind of the interpretation they like. Yeah,
Yeah, it's what goes most with like I guess like you can call it their head canon for lack of a better word.
yeah. Right, right. No, I got that. Yeah. There's another thing I was going to say about it. Oh yeah, and okay, so then we could come around to talk about the categoricity stuff, but that stuff's kind of like it's a bit confused. It's not like if you want to sit there and go through it, it's not that bad, but it's like I don't know if it seems boring to you. And the kind of third layer I mentioned of like the data. So yeah, once you grant you're talking about author intent, there is a tiny bit more philosophical arguing that someone could do there. Like they could try to quibble over, well, author intent isn't always the same, right? Like, is the Dragon Ball guy Toriyama, or is that someone
Yeah, that's
else?
Toriyama. That's the guy.
Yeah, yeah. They could be like, well, Toriyama had like a different intent at like time t than at time t2, right? So like, I
Yeah.
care about his intent at time t or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what that would sound like if delivered by like someone who wasn't doing philosophy or whatever, they'd probably just be like, well, I'm I'm concerned with what he was thinking when he actually made the story. I think that's like the what I want to capture. I'm not really like if he later on thought something else, I don't actually think that changes what he thought at the time of writing. And the thing that he thought at the time of writing, that's like what I'm going after. That's what I'm trying to capture. Someone could try to do that.
Yeah, they can absolutely do that. I've seen few cases where people actually bring that up. It's like, oh, what were his like what was he thinking about at the time? Could we really really pinpoint that exactly? And to an extent we can, but as soon as we start making like I don't know, claims about, oh, he was thinking about doing this with the series at this point in time, and it's like I think it'd be very hard empirically to prove that. But as far as motivations and interviews go, I think the evidence can definitely steer towards that.
Well, aren't you making an argument where you say that you think that his intention was different at the later point?
Um, yeah, yeah. So I guess with that, when I say that, it's so the weekly release of the original manga work was like I believe released in like 80 something or ended in 80 something, and then the Kanzenban, well, it's called the Kanzenban, but it basically means perfect edition or perfect files, basically was made as of recently. So it's basically um it's more or less the same thing. It's just like there's different pages and the ending is different. It's sort of meant to expand upon certain character motives and whatnot, i.e., like what Vegeta truly wants to do with respect to his relationship with Goku. He acknowledges that he's like number one, but that doesn't stop him from wanting to surpass him, etc., etc.
Yeah, okay, but do you think that's different than what Toriyama originally intended? Like, do you think this is a case where like he like reflected on it over the years or how the series went, and like when they did this like release or whatever, they like he wanted to change some things? So it was like, do you think his intent was different this time around?
Yeah, because in the original run of the manga, it's towards the end of the Majin Buu saga. It's where Vegeta he himself fully admits that Goku is the superior fighter, this and that, and he doesn't try to like sort of claw back on that statement. He doesn't try to say, "I'm gonna become better than you, Kakarot." He basically says, "Oh, you're number one. I'm not gonna even bother trying to." I'm not even sure how I would even word how he said it, but he's not trying to cover for the fact that he's like, coping that he's not number one anymore or he's not stronger than Goku at that point in time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. No, I got you. Um, yeah, so here's like, so someone might try to say, well, I agree that author intent is what matters, but like, I'm interested in the intent the author had when they actually wrote the thing. And when he wrote the thing, he had this intention. This newer stuff, I actually don't technically consider canon because even though it came from the author, it contradicts the original story, and the original story always is authoritative canon.
Mm-hmm. And then, would you say it would be appropriate if I were to ask him what's the argument for that? Do you think that would be able to spur something good?
Well,
Maybe.
if they're stupid, then or if they don't know any philosophy, they might try to make again an argument that falls into this weird like categorical normativity shit. But like if you look at it though, this really is just another case of that second layer, right? It's like it seems like it's not because it's within author intent, but it's actually like you're still debating philosophy when you're talking about what the right interpretation is. You're still not getting into like talking about the empirical stuff. It's like it's actually just that author intent is like a suitcase, and there's different ways that we could care about author intent. We could care about their intent now, we could care about the aggregate of their intent, we could care about their intent at the time of writing, right? It's a suitcase term, author intent. So someone's still actually just disagreeing on that second level about what the right interpretation is. It's just they've agreed it's within a certain range, which is like having to do with author intent, right? But there's still more than one thing in there. So yeah, it's the same response as if they say that they're trying to capture the interpretation that like most makes them want to like throw peanuts at a wall or something. Like you can just say like, I mean, it's not as silly as that or something, right? Someone see it could be totally fair and caring about original intent or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where you just have to go, what am I talking about? And if someone starts making points like that, you just point out, oh, you're talking about a different question. That's not the thing I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would kind of have
Yeah.
to sound like I would have to get him on the same page as I would be if that from the sound of it.
Yeah, like in my view, what's going on, well, on the same page as you, it depends what you mean by that. Like, if you
On
mean,
the right subject is what I probably meant to say. Like
yeah, like, well, you'd want to point out the red herring if they're trying, yeah.
mm-hmm.
Like, basically, what I was kind of getting at is like, well, I guess this is a further thought. Um, so, like, I think that a lot of the fiction community, from what I've seen, are like philosophically illiterate. Like, they don't know anything about philosophy. They just like have watched so much anime that they think they're doing this fucking crazy like mind games shit when they're debating, and they're
The
like these
light
high level
Yami,
like
yeah, the light
Light
Yagami
Yagami?
meme,
Yeah,
yeah.
like exactly. Yeah, like that's the perfect way to put it. Like they think they're like doing this like 900 IQ, like all this shit, and then afterwards they're like, reveling about how well they did, and it's like to someone who actually knows Phil, it's like, oh, you just got owned. Like it didn't seem like you knew what like a syllogism was, and then when you got asked to present one, you just tried to like, you know, like flex basically. Like you don't have any idea how to debate. You're an idiot, right? Like
Right.
so this is my assessment of like a lot of the fiction community, just fucking retarded and overconfident, but like so far from understanding philosophy that they can't even understand how retarded they are. That's like kind of my view.
That made
And
my night, dude.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Like there's people in there who are okay, but this is like the overall thing. It's just these cocky idiots who don't know any philosophy, and it's fucking insanely stupid. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, like, really a lot of the questions, and this is the same about the politics people on like Twitch and YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the questions that they argue, they've been arguing them for so long. They've been having these kind of fights for so long about like, would this character beat this character, or is this policy better than this policy? It's like it's been such a long ongoing argument that the the fundamental idea that the argument is legitimate is like something that no one's questioning, right? Like everyone's just questioning what's the right side of the argument, right? No
Yeah.
one's questioning it at the level of like, is the argument itself even, does it even make sense to be having the argument, right? Like is there even an argument?
Right. It kind of
um
seems like question begging a little bit, if that
well
a little bit.
not
Maybe that's me. Maybe that's just me.
Well, the thing is, like, people will look, like, for example, people will argue about what's the right interpretation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it say that there's like no fact of the matter about what the right interpretation is. Well, then all these people are just having a debate about something that doesn't even make any fucking sense. They may as well be talking about like like whether Bobby the Ghost is wearing like a purple shirt or a blue shirt. It's like no, like where it would be fucking stupid to argue about which shirt he's wearing because there isn't any Bobby the Ghost, right? So the way I look at it is like, you know, very often like the you like just with a lot of the fiction stuff, it's like this is just either underdetermined or there's no fact of the matter. And if
Hmm.
that's the case, then it's like we shouldn't even. There's not even a debate to be had. And I'd encourage you to like get woke on some of those positions, basically, because like I mean, I guess it's if you really feel passionate about one arm of the debate, like I guess you can do that. But like I think often the right position is that the whole debate's fucking just like retarded. Like when people are talking about what's the right interpretation, it's like, well, right with respect to what, right? Like I could go on my whole fucking rant about it, but yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, it would sort of seem like we would have to like agree on certain things as a prerequisite, I guess, to even have the conversation, because that kind of reminds me of like what's his name? It was with IHIP, and you had to like get him on the same page. You had to waffle him a little bit, but eventually you did. It was
About
it was about the trans stuff. Remember that you called him, and you were like having a conversation with him, and it wasn't more so of like a debate. It was kind of like a conversation. That's what I got from it anyway. It was the last
I mean,
time you talked to him.
I've talked to him a few times. Was it the one where I went on his channel or on that stream thing?
Oh no, it wasn't the stream thing. It was you called him because you said that the last two times that you spoke to him before that is you told him it was frustrating because he wasn't appreciating your position or attacking it either. He was
Oh
basically,
yeah,
yeah.
sure. It's so annoying. It's just like infuriating.
Yeah, he would kind of like he would make every it seemed like he would make every effort to like avoid actually like addressing the critique that you'd proposed or had risen actually.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a bit different than the kind of shit with the we're talking about with fiction, but like, yeah, that was just brutal. I mean, IHIP is like a okay guy. Like, I mean, he's kind of weird, but like, he's all right. He's just a horrible person to debate, though. He just doesn't listen. I just hate debaters who don't listen, man. You gotta listen.
Yeah, like I try to get everything that they're like putting my way. I'll even try to write it down rather sometimes if like if they have a lot to say. I'll try to like do bullet point it down.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I don't. I don't do that personally. I thought at one point that kind of strategy was good, and there's people who use the bullet pointing strategy, like people like Destiny or Vosh will like write down all the bullet points. Like my again, like I have kind of unorthodox views on a lot of this stuff, so I know I'm always just like that's trash, this is trash, but like I think the bullet point thing is kind of trash. Like
Hmm.
it's way like just the what the fuck is the word I'm looking for? When not premise, but it's like when you're thinking of doing a thing like proposition. No, what the fuck is the word for this?
uh,
But anyway, just the whole like idea of oh fuck, what was the thing we were just talking about? I got so carried away trying to think of that word that I forgot. It's still bugging me, dude. What the
it's
fuck is that?
you're completely fine, but it was I had brought up like me bullet pointing certain things down, and you saying,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah,
it's not."
bullet pointing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So like the whole okay, no. What the fuck is pretense? That's the
pretense.
word I'm looking for. Yeah, like wait, no, is pretense the word pretext?
Well,
I gotta know this. A second. Pretext? Or it's like one of those words like ostensible or pretext, a reason given in justification. No, it's not that. And what is pretense? The attempt to make something that is not the case appear true.
yeah,
A
I believe
claim,
that.
especially false or ambitious one.
I would think
Yeah,
maybe,
right. The
yeah.
pretense is the right word. That is what I'm looking for. Fuck. So, yeah, the pretense that we're going to be able to have like a fucking functional discussion where we're delivering like 7 points at a time, like that's just already like that point alone is enough that the bullet pointing thing is just a stupid idea. Like it's just like why are we doing this? So that I think that point alone is like really like bad, but like it's just think about like the only case I can you got to watch your mic, it
Oh,
trips me out when I hear it.
Let
No,
me
it's okay.
mute
It
up.
just it like fries my mind, and then I lose my train of thought.
I'm muted, by the way.
The
Let me just mute up.
no, you're good. No worries. Um, like the only case I can make for this is like describe well that I can think of is describing the first person experience of doing it and why it's insane. Like when you're debating, do you really want to be sitting there trying to take notes of this like ongoing structure someone's building, like especially if you do programming, you learn how complex and interwoven the structure of things is. It's like it's hopeless. Like they're going to make like 50 points at once. You're not going to understand what the exact inferences between them are, and then when it comes your turn, you're just kind of going to be like rattling off like responses to like sort of like snippets of what they said. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, there's situations you might have to do that. Like, if you're forced into a debate context where, you can't, like, reply properly. But, like, what I want to do is not that. Like, what I want to do is just find out a specific point that I disagree with the person on. And I want to hear them give an argument for that point. Or if I'm the one with the positive claim, I give an argument for that and I want them to resist the argument, right? I don't want to have 50 fucking points floating around. That's like it's like eating up way too much mental space to think about that. Your focus is just all over the place. Like, do you want to juggle like fucking like 17 plates while you're debating? Like, even if you write your little notes, right? It's like, what's that the equivalent of? It's like having like a little gimp who like spins two of the plates for you. It's like it's not gonna like help you. Like, it's just that's like it's too crazy. A human can't think of that many things at once. You'll just underperform. Like if you want to do well, you got to focus on one thing at a time, right? And it's like you just get that thing. Look, what is it you disagree with me about? Okay, so oftentimes people fail right there. They can't even articulate a proposition. Like that's what happened when I talked to that infrared guy. He couldn't even articulate the thing he disagreed with me about.
I'm not even gonna
But
disagree there. It's like, what is that he's like, what is it that he has a problem with? I heard like, the whole vegans are bad people, right? That's just the claim. Like, what does he mean when he says these things? Like.
well, yeah, he could be saying something that's like trivial. Like I need to know what he actually means. But yeah, like if I debate someone, I want to find the proposition that we're having a disagreement about. And oftentimes people will fail right there, right? Oftentimes that wins the debate alone. But assuming that they actually do know what they disagree with you about and they can articulate it, right? Well, then you can look at it and you can go, okay, like who has the burden of proof? Do we both have a burden of proof? AKA, is it like a con and pro kind of situation? Or does only one of us have it? Like it's an agnostic and con or an agnostic and pro situation. Obviously, it can't be that neither of us have it because that would mean we have the same position of both being agnostic. So it's like you have one of those choices, right? And then based on that, you proceed. If they have the burden of proof, they can give the argument. If you do, you can give the argument. And if you both do, then it's just like, you can decide by whatever means you prefer, like a coin flip or something like that. And once you yeah, once you have the proposition in question that you disagree with about and you understand who's arguing for it, then it's like very formulaic. It's like, okay, well, what's the argument? And then you can analyze it and you can look at the premises and you can go, okay, like I'm not convinced of this premise. And like do you understand like how much more focused that is? Where it's like you always have like a pinpoint of where the debate is. We're talking about this proposition or this supporting proposition. It's not like we're talking about these fucking five arguments at once. It's like we're
Yeah, it's like
doing
the
this right.
it's the inference structure. I remember this in the Rolodex video in your debate tips.
Yeah, I've elaborated on it there. And like the thing is some people just won't agree. Some people just be like, I just want a bullet point. If you're one of those people, I get that. But I would just encourage you to like at some point try the other style and just note which is mentally easier. Like a big part of doing well in debate is not spinning too many plates, right? Like people aren't fucking light Yagami. Like they can't actually do that. Like you got to focus on one thing. Like I don't even want to think about two things at once because it's so hard to like do any one thing well.
Right. But lately I've been doing that, like, I maybe I've told you about this before, maybe I haven't. I've been doing like the prop logic stuff, and I've been doing like arguments and such. I've been having to do like a more more advanced forms of arguments as well, having to do like inference structures for those as well. I've also gotten
Cool.
into like modal and predicate logic. I don't think I told you about
Oh,
that, but
nice.
yeah, I know like the
No, that's
basics.
great.
Yeah, I know like the
Oh,
basics.
sweet. Yeah, that's cool. Are you comfortable like, like proving like theorems in like PL or FOL or anything?
Not quite
Like if I
there. Like I know what the symbols mean, and I know like basic statements from like predicate logic can mean like if you asked me like I mean I have them in my notes here. I'll like pull them up if you want.
I should show you how to do like natural deduction or something sometime so that you can actually just prove them because it sounds like you're doing the kind of mix and match thing where it's like a few kind of like patterns of what a good inference looks like and you're kind of just like finding ways to apply those patterns to make arguments, right?
Yeah, in a sense, like I'm more so
That's good. That's definitely a fucking step above not knowing shit all and just giving like just like natural language like
rambling.
randomness. Yeah.
Yeah, like I say that because like you know how there's intro papers and intro videos on like YouTube, for example, or like on Daily Motion. You ever been on that site?
Yeah, wait, I think I've been on Daily Motion, but what do you mean intro video?
Well, it's like an introduction, sort of like into the like subject.
Oh, yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I've been doing that, and I've been trying to look
Nice.
for a good one for like applied logic. Remember that one? You ever heard of that one?
What do you mean applied logic? Are you talking well, yeah, what do you mean by applied logic?
There's a predicate, modal, and propositional, and then there's applied logic. There's like a graph here. I'll show. I'll send it your way.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a formal system called applied logic, but you can apply logic to things.
Yeah, it's like this. I swear to God, I have it here in my files. I hope it shows up.
Yeah, I'm curious to see this.
Maybe. Well, I'm just going off of like what the names are. They're like in these categories. You'll see what I mean. I'll send it your way.
Well, they might be talking about something like actually like applying logic to like real life questions or something, right? Like
Yeah,
the way we talk about applied ethics.
it looks like well, I pulled up certain videos and they didn't actually go over any like examples or anything. It sounded like they were talking about like programming because they mentioned like overleaf. Remember that? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, if they might mean, yeah, like applications for logic, like in computing or like apply application, right? Like might be like in computing or like elsewhere, like in circuitry or something like that. Yeah, that would make sense if that's what they meant by applied logic.
Well, okay, so thank God I found found the file. It took me forever, but here it is.
Yeah, let me see this. Modal applied predicate. 1 second. Oh, hey, wait. Is this from the priest book?
I believe so.
Modal applied predicate propositional fuzzy constructive relevant other, right? But I wonder.
I'd
One
have to look back
second.
in the book. Like I have it here on my shelf maybe.
Um, different forms. Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing like any philosophy articles about this shit. Like, I really don't know what the fuck is meant by that. Like, I mean, the plus and the X sign. Like, why would
Yeah, that threw me off too. I was like
I? I really don't know what that means. Applied logic. Like, because like I'm seeing shit, which is what I would expect. Like, applications of logic, like the application of logic in like debate or in like circuitry or computing or. But like I don't know. Like, I just have no. I am very curious what the person meant when they put that there. Like, that's the set inclusion symbol there. Like,
mhm.
maybe, maybe they're talking about applications of logic in areas like mathematics or like set theory or something. That's possible.
Yeah, I could
I don't
definitely
know.
see that. I was like maybe that's what they mean. It's just the terminology is different.
Yeah, because like you can use logical operators on sets and stuff. There's like yeah, like there's lots of shit like that. But okay, well, anyway, about logic though, what the fuck was it you had said? You were saying, oh yeah, so basically, like, there's kind of like two places you could be at that. Well, at least I can think of right now. So like the one is what you're talking about, where like you don't really understand like the internal mechanics of the logic. You just kind of like know how to structure some good arguments. So you know what modus ponens and modus tollens and hypothetical syllogism look like. Maybe you know how to play with the truth table generator, and you can like vary around those forms a bit and still get things that are valid. Um, so that's like a good place to be, frankly. That's like it's actually vastly like way better than being in like natural language land, which is where like most people are. But the better level to be at is to actually have that kind of internal like understanding of how the logic actually works, right? Like you want to be able to like very easily like build an argument without relying on like these kind of pre-built like patterns, and you want to be able to like prove things. So if you reduce someone's position down to some particular well-formed formula and it's contradictory, but it's not like apparent that it's contradictory, you're going to want to be able to actually like derive the contradiction, right? There's like a range of things like this where you need to actually understand like you need to actually know how the logic works, right? You got to be able to do proofs and stuff. That's why like if you take a uni course, it's going to be, you're going to be doing a lot of proofs. That's most of what the course will be actually is proofs.
I mean, yeah, I've been considering what you said. Like, I was mainly that person who was like, "Oh, prop logic is like the end all be all. These are like extra tidbits." And I was like, "Well, now that I've done some further investigation, I know that's not the case."
I know prop logic is like the stepping stone.
Mm-hmm.
Like the thing is, I've said this before, you don't need a whole ton of logic to do debate stuff, but you want to have PL and FOL, that's for sure. Modal logic's nice, and you want to have them firmly. You don't want to have like a kind of general idea. Like you want to like know how to do proofs. So yeah, I can show you that sometime if you want. It's not that hard. Like it's basically just you get some statements, and then you just apply rules to them. Do you want me to show you actually? Do you want to have you ever looked at proofs? Do you want to understand what a fucking proof is?
Through like the truth tables and such, I believe I've had to do them. Like,
Well, no, like I'm talking about a natural deduction proof.
oh,
Um,
those I haven't come across those. I've done like the truth tables, that the ones that we talked about, and then there's like I briefly went over like the truth trees and such. But as far as the natural deductions, I haven't gone through that.
well, yeah, here I'll show you actually, because once you see it, you might actually be like, this isn't that crazy. Like I probably learned to do this. You want me to show you this? Do you have interest in this, or is this not something you want to see?
I mean, any information will be great. If you want to like live stream or
Yeah, sure.
somewhere,
I'll
or
yeah, I'll stream here. So you see my middle screen, right?
let me see here. I'm gonna go to the stream. All right, we're connected.
Okay, yeah, you'll have to ignore the programming shit here. But like, say you have some argument, like you have modus ponens. Oh, also you might benefit from having from my fucking keyboard extension. It's very nice. You can get symbols quickly. Um okay. So actually I want to do this in a text file because the fucking syntax highlighting is gonna keep highlighting my shit here. Uh you know, uh
I was about to say it's a little bit hard to see. Mind if you could zoom out just a tad bit, please?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think also I need to make there's a way to set the screen for font or for legibility. Change windows, screen one, better text readability. Oh, really? That sucks. It's not legible. Okay. It is set to that. That's not good. All right, we're zooming in. Okay.
All right, we're
So like, here's
golden.
an argument. Yeah, nice. So here's an argument, right? It's just modus ponens. So we can just we're gonna want these labeled for this. P2 and C. So someone might ask you to prove that this argument's valid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And truth table proofs that's a way to do proofs, but truth tables are really limited, right? Because truth tables you can only use for propositional logic. The other methods you can use for more logics. So there's a range of these, right? There's like truth tables, there's truth trees, there's like Fitch style proofs, there's natural deduction.
Mm-hmm.
And natural deduction is really good. Like you can always do natural deduction with like pretty much every fucking logic. Um, it's pretty easy to like get what's going on, but it's a bit of you have to have creativity for it because it's not just like formulaic like truth tables or truth trees where there's like a procedural step by step thing. It's like you have to pick your steps. But I'll show you. Yeah. So like basically to do natural deduction, you just have to show how something is derived. So you get a set of rules, right? So we might be like, rule one is like, well, here, MP. So if you have P implies, so we start with a set of rules, right? P implies Q and P, um, that gives us Q. Or, we could have others, like we have like disjunctive syllogism, where we have like P or P. What? It's a one. P or Q, and then you go not Q, therefore P. So you'd normally have like a handful of these rules, but to prove an argument like this, it's very easy. So like this is a really simple run. We know here that this rule is going to prove this argument. So we just write on the conclusion, the line that we infer here, how we did the proof. So you go, okay, what lines did I use here? I used the first and the second line, and the inference rule I used was modus ponens. So you just go MP 1 2. You've probably seen shit like this before, right? So
Yeah,
that's a,
I remember
yeah,
now. I was
that's
like, I don't recall exactly, but maybe if you were to show me, I'd probably remember.
yeah, like this is like proof right here. This is done. Like that proves modus ponens because you already have modus ponens as a rule. But if you had something bigger, like maybe let's do some like nested shit here or something. Um, yeah, we'll go. Yeah, okay.
Or
Um,
P and Q imply R, maybe? Or
let's do like no. We'll do a little bit weirder here. We'll go not P um or Q, and then the conclusion is going to be R. So we're going to go like, okay, we need to find a way to get to this conclusion from these guys. So, like, how do we do that with inference rules? So, we might make some space and go like, excuse me, might go like, okay, well, like this here, there's a rule for this called material conditional. And you can just look up these rules. It's just like modus ponens and the others. Like, there's a bunch of these. So just make another line here, and you can go P implies Q. I'm just showing you the general idea. If you want to really learn to do it, we'll need to like sit down, but I'm just kind of showing you what it looks like. Um, so you can actually derive this from this. So we go from line 2. Here, I'm just going to number these with numbers. So we just go 2 uh, MT. Oh, that's for modus tollens, so you probably don't want to call it that. That'll confuse you. We can call it um, mat imp, right? Material implication. So we've derived this, and now we have the thing we need for modus ponens, right? So you can probably bring this guy back up here, and we could go. You see how this is the thing this argument needs to be fed to derive R? Like once it has P and Q, we're going to be able to get R by modus ponens. We can
right.
go 1 3 modus ponens, right? So the first step was we derived P implies Q from not P or Q via material implication. Then to get the conclusion R, we were like, oh, we have this. Wait, this and this, that's just modus ponens. P implies Q implies R, and P implies Q, therefore R, right? So we just go 1 3 modus ponens. So yeah,
Mmm.
I could show you how to do these, but that's how you prove statements. That's how you prove arguments and stuff.
Yeah, like I guess my way of like well the things I would debate are like empirically based, so yeah, it'd be a little it'd probably be a little bit weirder to do it, but I'm sure I'd be able to like with enough effort I'd be able to do it.
Yeah, it seems more threatening than it is, but it's really not that bad. It's a useful skill to have, though. Yeah, that was all I want to show. I don't think I have anything else here. I'm
Oh.
gonna zoom back out. Probably close this stream. But yeah, I guess now you've seen what natural deduction looks like. At least you have an idea.
I was like, huh. I was aware of it with like the truth tables and all that. You sent me the I believe it was the program that does all of that, like the tables, trees, and you know other forms of proofs. But that one,
Oh, proof tool.
yeah, the proof tool. I was like, I can't seem to recall what the name was, but it was a really useful thing that I've been doing.
Oh yeah, proof tool is fucking sweet, man. That guy's awesome. I emailed him actually. We had a little conversation.
hmm How long did it take him to like develop that?
Well, he's been developing it for years. If you look at the log of like his updates, I think he started in the early 2000s or something.
hmm
But I mean, there's no way he's been like full time working on it. Obviously, it would go faster if he was like, you know, full timing that shit or something.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's definitely something that he invested his time in. It's very apparent with like I think the truth table the program that I was using isn't as nuanced as this one.
Um, yeah, oh yeah, no, his proof tools is one of the best out there, and it's free. It's really sweet that he actually would make something like that. The guy's name is Laird Shaw.
Hmm. Don't think I've ever heard of him, but glad I came across his development.
Yeah, it's sweet. Well, it's handy, right? Like if you ever, you're debating some fucking idiot and they're saying some crazy thing, it's like, well, if you don't know how to do a proof, you have proof tools. You can just be like, I'm pretty sure that's a contradiction. Just plug it in and it'll drive one for you.
Yeah. Like
Legend is there? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, like lately I've been like getting that lately. They're like, "Oh, like, you can't derive a contradiction from what I'm saying." And then I, write down like, in a truth table like, um where the, both like cancel each other out and such. Like I believe
Yep.
one of the things that I remember was it's simultaneously the case and not the case that character X can do feat X or something like that.
Yeah, that's a contradiction.
It's like he's like, "Oh, well that's not a contradiction." Well, I was like, "Yes
Oh
it
my
is."
god.
I was like what definition are you like, trying to like ram through here? Like what are you trying to worm your way through here? I don't understand. It's like
Yeah.
it's like if they're trying to like talk about nomological like logic, like that's not what I'm like asking for, I guess.
Oh, you mean nomological possibility?
Yeah, like when someone says like there's different types of possibilities. There's like a temporal possibility. There's what is it? There's deontic possibility, etc.
Never heard anyone talk about deontic possibility, but yeah, no, the people have these are called modalities.
Yeah, like I was like, what modality are you trying to do? Because like as soon as I said like you're trying to convert a nomological statement into a logical statement, like classical or propositional in that case that we're talking about. And he was basically trying to. Well, I told him he's doing the modal scope fallacy, and he got really pissed off.
Oh, remind me what the fucking 1 second. I know I should know this shit. Modal scope fallacy
Mm.
is the fallacy of placing a proposition in the wrong modal scope, most commonly confusing the scope of what is necessarily true. The statement is considered necessarily true if and only if it is impossible for the statement to be untrue. And there's no situation that would cause the element to be false. Um. Oh, are they talking about speaking in the wrong modality?
Yeah, they were like,
Um.
oh, like um, I think they were. Remember the
Oh.
Deborah shit?
Yeah. This. I found a. Yeah. Sorry. Yep. I do remember that.
They're like, oh, like I hold on, I'll send you the exact wording because they like trying to think they have like some good like gotcha. They're like, oh my god, it says this about X character. I don't know. People are kind of like brainlets when it comes to the the subject. If I'm honest, like I don't even know what to say to them.
Yeah, like I'm just I'm trying to. You got me thinking about the fucking modal scope fallacy for a second here.
All
Modal
right,
scope fallacy.
here
Sorry.
it is. All right, so here it is. So that's one, and there. Well, they try to bring up multiple. That's one, and I'll bring up the other one. It's like I don't hear a contradiction. All right, so there's that one, and here's another one that they like to play offense when they see it.
Oh, you sent it in DM. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Let's.
I sent that one, and there's another one. I don't know if it loaded up. My stuff has been acting up lately.
Many years after the Battle of Seoul, Gohan had become a high school student due to either Chi-Chi's influence or him neglecting a train. His strength hadn't changed since he was a boy. He went through a lot of trouble to conceal his power at high school. In order to conceal his identity, he consults Bulma. The clothes he wears when defeating evildoers, he calls himself the Great. It's hard. It's very hard to read here. Seiya Man.
Say it, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was mainly that first part, like his strength hadn't changed since he was a boy. That one, and then
Oh, okay.
there's another one heading your way. I don't know if it loaded up.
I don't see it yet.
I'm gonna see if I could like redo it. It seems to have like froze midway. One sec.
Okay,
But yeah,
that's
there's
fine. It
that
gives me
one.
a sec to.
There's that one, and there's this one. Oh my god. Let's see if I can find it first. Like, you're not gonna believe that people think this is an actual like logical contradiction. It's like I don't know if they're like being serious or like they're trying to get some weird gotcha. It's really strange with certain people. I can't tell.
Um, People can be pretty fucking brutal, so I don't know.
All right, here it is. I couldn't find the what's call it. I couldn't
I can't
find.
tell exactly what this fallacy is. It seems honestly like they're just talking about speaking in the wrong modality, but I don't know if it's like more precise than that.
Yeah, actually, I can't find the original English translation, but here I'll get you one straight from the book. Here's that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is the entry when he transforms, and then they think they got some gotcha because they're like, "Oh, look at this! It doesn't actually, say what you believe. You're being a tard of some sort."
What does it say?
I'm getting you the kanji, and I'm getting you like the translation here. It'll be just a sec.
Yeah, yeah, no worries.
Okay, it says it's loading up. By
Okay.
by the way, am I cutting out by chance? Is like my connection good?
No, you're good. Your mic's clear. In fact, is that the new mic? Your sound is very good.
Yeah, it's like the new mic. I just had to like get it all set up. I'm not used to condensers as much as I used to. The irony is that I started out with a condenser. Now I'm like, heavily lenient on the dynamic. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know shit about mic tech, but that sounds like a good mic for sure. Oh, I just got your message. Okay. Transformed at Kibito's request during the Takaichi Budokai. Since he didn't borrow the power of anger and hadn't trained, he doesn't have the same fighting powers when he defeated Cell. Attending high school, he transforms into a normal Super Saiyan to fight the bad guys. Okay, so what's the Owen supposed to be here?
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, like so you see in the first one his strength hadn't changed since he was a boy." But then they try to say like, "Oh, like, you just owned yourself there. He can't borrow power from his anger and he hadn't trained, so he doesn't have the same battle power as when he fought Cell." You know what I mean? I think hopefully.
What? Wait, why is it an Owen? I'm not. No, I don't understand.
Yeah, like it's like whether or not his strength hadn't changed since he was a boy doesn't tell me whether or not he like got stronger, like now. Maybe you know what I
Whether he
mean.
got stronger. What do you mean now?
Well, in this point of the story,
Oh, which is past this moment you're sending me
yeah,
the shots of?
yeah,
Oh,
it's like in
so it's like,
chronological order. Yeah,
oh, so it's like some like wait. So what are they? They're trying to say that because there's some. I don't even understand what this doesn't make. I'm not getting it. I don't get it.
Yeah, like they think his strength hadn't changed since he was a boy. That proposition, and since he hold on, since he didn't borrow the power of anger and hadn't trained, he doesn't have the same fighting powers when he defeated Cell. They think that's a contradiction, basically. Those propositions can't.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
they think. Wait. Say those again. What's supposed to be the contradiction?
So apparently, um, proposition one is his strength hadn't changed since he was a boy. That's the first one. The second
Hmm.
proposition is since he didn't borrow the power of anger and hadn't trained, he doesn't have the same fighting powers when he defeated Cell. They think that's a contradiction. I was like, no.
I need to think about both of those. Say the first one more time.
His strength hadn't changed since he was a boy. Proposition one.
Yeah.
Proposition two, he didn't borrow the power of anger and hadn't trained. Since he didn't, sorry, since he didn't borrow the power of anger and hadn't trained, he doesn't have the same fighting powers when he defeated Cell. That's proposition two.
So it's saying his strength is the same,
Uh huh.
but then it's saying that he's less strong. That does sound like it's going to entail a contradiction.
Well, because of his well, context is needed. There, it's referring to like he's just in a normal state. He's in a transformation, but normally he'd be stronger if he had this rage boost. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
yeah,
I think the
but
contextualization was a little
it's
bit needed there, maybe.
but wait, but it's we know so it's not as strong as he was when he was a boy. But how can I don't understand. How can he be as strong if he can't do something he could do when he was a boy?
No, 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 no. Like so contextualization is obviously needed. So like they don't mention that like he himself got physically weaker. They're saying that like he hasn't been training. He still retains like the same level of strength. He just can't get as strong since he doesn't have that rage boost when he was a younger younger individual.
Oh, so you want to say like okay, I think I kind of see what you're saying. So
Hmm.
you want to say that strength is not just referring to what he can do if he gets in a fight right now. It's talking about like something like his base, like I don't know, like
Just his base
I
stats without the rage boost.
yeah, okay. So and yeah, so when you say his strength hasn't changed, you're not talking about his overall ability to do damage. You're just saying his like physical capacity absent any boost is the same.
Right.
Yeah, well under that interpretation it's not going to be a contradiction.
Yeah, like I think what's call it? It's made very apparent that like it's in the narrative as well.
Cuz if strong just means oh sorry. Yeah.
Oh no, no. All I was gonna briefly say was like it's in the narrative. Like they like to say that he's been slacking off, but whether or not he's been slacking off doesn't tell us whether or not he could still like be top contender with like Goku and Vegeta and them. You know.
Yeah, I mean it's just a thing where it sounds contradictory because it's like well he's not he when he was younger he could do X. He now can't do X, but he's not gotten any weaker. It's like well, it sounds like you're saying he isn't as strong, right? But if your interpretation of that, well, at least under the interpretation where strength refers to someone's ability absent any boost, right?
Mm-hmm.
That can be the same despite their ability overall uh, changing, right? It's like their base stats could stay the same despite their overall like output changing in virtue of something other than their base stats. So it won't be contradiction. So it depends what interpretation you take, whether it's a contradiction or not.
Yeah, it's I was my interpretation was it's referring to like base stats, not like the rage boost. Since well, to give you further context, there was this 7-year gap of like peace. Like a lot of time since had passed. Remember that whole thing that I showed you with like that beam struggle between him and Cell. Remember that in preparation for the
Yes, yeah.
Deborah? Yeah, it was with that.
Yeah. So wait, a lot of time has passed from then, and what?
Like obviously he doesn't have the capacity to get like enraged like he was back then, since obviously like there was no need for it. He doesn't, there's no imminent threat coming his way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was like some whole like saga or whatever, and he was like it's probably really intense or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, no. I mean, it's just a matter of what interpretation you take. Yeah. I thought it was contradictory when I first heard it, but well, actually, I didn't even understand it when I first heard it. But no, under the interpretation you're giving, it's not contradictory. I guess there's a question of what the author's intent was and whether he intended something that was actually contradictory. But yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I was about to say like this is why I want to get you into the show. If like I get most people don't like the manga because reading and such, but the show's right there. You got a Funimation account?
Yeah, it really is a thing where like for story based stuff, like I just find like we're living in the fucking 21st century. Like we have visual shit now. Like why would we ever like read a story if there's a visual version? But I know that's a bad argument. I know someone could be like, look, there's like tons of other information in the manga, and like there's like a bunch of shit. Like it strikes me as the kind of thing that like if you're really into the lore and you want that kind of experience of like getting all the lore, all the details and shit, yeah, probably read manga. But if you just want to like experience good stories and you're a bit of a simpleton, like you're probably gonna be happy with the anime. And I'm definitely like in the latter category.
Well, to say that that one has to be like what was the exact wording? One likes like anime, they're like what, simpleton? Like you kind of cut out for me a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say like I was just saying manga good if you want to know all the lore and be a nerd. Anime good if you're just a simpleton who just wants to like have a good experience.
Oh, I was
And
about to
I was
say.
saying I'm a simpleton like that. So yeah.
I was about to say, well, with the case with the Dragon Ball Z anime, it's like they add in a lot more stuff. Like certain things, I'll be the first to admit this. I don't think the manga is completely like fully fleshed out. There are some things that are like sort of questionable in their own certain categories. But the anime seems to like flesh things out. They tend to be more apparent with like the narrative and how strong certain characters are given what feats they're capable of doing or shown doing.
Hmm. Well, I guess that's a compliment to the anime then. Fair enough.
Yeah, like with the manga, it's like it's very straightforward. They tell a very very entertaining story. I'll say that, but it's kind of annoying. So it's like you'll have certain questions. It's like oh, what about detail X, and and then later, like I don't know, 5 chapters ahead, you'll have another question like, well, what about detail Y, like that's always kind of
Hmm.
like been my gripe about the manga, but they both have their pros, both have their cons, I suppose.
Yo, one thing. Are you into Bleach or no?
Yes, I remember doing that like way back then.
There,
Yes.
there's a new season that's coming out in I think 2022, eh?
Yeah, it's with the Thousand Year Blood War arc, I believe.
Yeah, that's gonna be fucking crazy, man. Yeah, like I really like Bleach. Bleach is fucking killer.
Like a favorite character, just right off the bat. That's curious to me now.
Probably Ulquiorra.
Ukuyora. Uh,
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
why? What would you say?
well, I didn't expect you'd like Ukuyora. I thought you'd like, I don't know, you'd like Aizen or Stark.
I mean, Aizen's pretty evil, but no, I like something about Ulquiorra. I don't know what it is.
His like nonchalant behavior. It's like he's getting his ass beat. He's like, oh, cool, that's happening.
Yeah, there's something funny about that for sure. Um, but yeah, no, that like it's a really, really quite good show. So, and I'm under the impression that like this is like kind of the like insane, like really crazy fucking arc of the story. So I'm pretty hyped on that because I'm not a manga reader, so I don't really know, but I'm just told that it's really fucking intense.
No, yeah, I'd be inclined to agree. Like, you remember Kampachi, whatever his name was?
Yeah,
Y-
Kenpachi Zaraki.
yep. It was him, and Again,
Oh
part.
yeah, there's gonna be that fucking insane. I've seen people animate that fight. Are you about to talk about him fighting Unohana?
Well, him and Gerard. Do you know who Gerard is?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm not gonna spoil it. I'd feel like an asshole if I did.
I just know he has a fucking insane fight with Unohana and he kills her. So I want to see that.
Yeah, needless to say, it was pretty brutal. Like if someone tried like putting up the chapter, they'd probably take it down. They'd have to like upload it to Live Leak. It was a bloodbath.
I'm under the impression that Aizen actually is still in this arc, but he's just in a chair. But he just still can just fuck people up from a chair.
Dude,
Like
yeah, you have no
I don't know if
idea.
that's true. That's
You
what I've
have
heard.
no idea how much credence that has. Like
That's
the last
hilarious.
time we saw him, we see him getting sealed away, if memory serves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we see him like heavily seated and um, like normally we would typically mean like well he's in bandages, so we're under the presumption that like he can't do much, but the opposite tends to be true. He belies that.
Yeah, I you're not don't tell me, but I also am like, is he gonna get out of the fucking chair? Like, so yeah, I wanna see what happens. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm hyped on that. But yeah, I like. I mean, it might just be. I might just need to experience Dragon Ball more. The reason I like Bleach though is there's more like I've always thought Dragon Ball is kind of like it's like a fight anime where it's all sort of like it's almost like a like UFC but like the anime version or something.
Well, it's got some
um
story in there.
it like doesn't really have a lot. I guess it probably does. Like I just yeah for I don't know. I just really like something about Bleach. But I don't know. I know that people are always like, yeah, like the old fucking classic animes are like fucking like Naruto, Bleach, and Dragon Ball. And I know I'm 2 for 3 because I also like Naruto a lot. I thought, despite like dude, like the filler. Why is like who ever thought of like let's make filler like just a thing that we have in all sorts of like animes? Like why would you do that? Like it's literally like I stopped at one point. I was like I almost don't care how good this story gets. Like I just can't watch any more of this fucking filler. Like it's the worst thing I've ever. There's like seasons of filler.
Yeah.
Like there's whole seasons that are filler. Like who does that?
Yeah, it's like well, did you watch all of Naruto, or you're
Yeah, I
still
watched the
continuing?
whole fucking thing.
Well, I guess there's interviews about like directors and producers. They mainly, I guess, the thought process or idea behind filler is to like maybe expand on certain things, or like expand on certain ideas that were kind of like left behind. I guess that's the whole intention, or it's just to like add extra information of some sort. Maybe that's, yeah, that's what they generally tend to say. But
I
there,
hate it.
yeah, I
I
mean,
just think it's bad quality. It just sucks.
yeah, it's like the thing with that. It's like I guess it would be good if you had like certain questions in like the original source material, and that those get fleshed out there. But like if they tend to like take in entire arcs of explanation, then it's like what was the point?
It's literally so bad that like if you introduced me to Naruto by showing me a filler season, I would probably say it's like one of the worst shows I've ever seen. But like if you actually somehow make it through the filler, which I did because I stopped partway. I think it was somewhere near maybe before Shippuden or something. Like I was like, I can't take it anymore. But
Oh,
then
I
I saw
see.
some of the like crazy fucking Shippuden battles, and I was like, it does get really good. I think like I have to just do that. And it was like there was like a week or two of like living hell. It felt like a chore. It was like time to watch Naruto. Like fuck.
Well, there's actually something I wanted to say, that like how like obviously we're on the subject of filler. You know how there's certain people who will be like, oh, if it has filler, don't like don't even mention it. um, there's
I don't
this,
know that actually. Do people say that?
yeah, like I know like a few bunch of people who are like, oh, if it has like entire arcs of filler, I'm not interested. Like forget about it. But
Yeah. I'm almost one of those people. I just understand that it's like something can be so good that it's worth it, but like holy fuck is it ever horrible.
well, in any case, there's actually websites, not like websites, but there's like these guide guide stuff where it's like
Guide to filler avoiding?
yeah, yeah, like dude, I told you about it. No? I swear to God, I told you about it.
You might have. That's hilarious. That's
Yeah,
so funny.
yeah, that's like I believe it was my second or third time like rewatching Dragon Ball. I was like, can I get through this without having to watch this like garbage filler? And there was.
Odd, yeah.
But yeah, I'll like give you like the filtered like list for Dragon Ball. That way, like you don't have to go through the same thing I did.
Yeah, please. That'd be great. Um, Legend, I'm gonna make food in a sec here. Is there any like final shit you wanna like hit on or
Well, the question. Well, I did have one question. Like, you
yeah.
wanted to. Well, next time we talk, you wanted to maybe like further expand upon like the logics and such. Since I have like I'd say a rough to like slash decent understanding of like the three modalities.
Yeah, I think need to start by just making sure we're like totally on the same page with truth tables. But if we get through that, we should do natural deduction, and that'd be really good. It's really not hard. Like I just got to give you a set of rules, and you kind of can sit there and like try to apply them.
Okay.
Kind of see the patterns after a minute or two, and then be like, oh, I get it.
I mean, hopefully you came in here with like good news. I'm at least learning now.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's always good to know of more areas to learn. But yeah, yeah. Um, okay, I think I'm gonna eat because I'm fucking starving. But it's good talking to you. And the mic sounds fucking good. That's crazy. You're sending me that shit, man. I really appreciate that. With that new interface too, it's probably gonna sound really clean.
I mean, I have the cloud lifter in there just in case like the preamp doesn't do any justice to the mic. You'll have the it'll like back you up in a sense. It'll be treated like a condenser. It'll give you like a good range of clarity. That's why I
Yeah,
added it in there.
that's fucking sweet. Like, yeah, no, it'll be good because as you can tell, my mic it's a little weird. It's like it's a little fucked, I think, but I know my interface is fucked. Like, yeah, it's
By
kind
the
of
way,
like
you have
there's a
the
few.
M2 interface currently, or
No, they were out of stock when I ordered, so I'm. It's coming sometime in September though,
oh
so
okay.
should see it pretty soon.
Well,
Yeah,
I say that because the M2 is like well, the way I would describe the M2 is like a Swiss Army knife. It's so versatile. Like you have no idea. That
yeah,
thing's really good.
yeah. It's like it does everything. It's got like it's really good for if you have to plug in like studio quality headphones. Like it's got the dual utility jacks and stuff. It's got LED display on the front for like levels and yeah, it's just like overall really quite good from what I can tell. And
Yeah,
it's really low latency too, so that's nice.
yeah, I definitely agree. But I'm not
Mm.
even sure. Like I mean, I know the competition with like Audient is really up there with like M2 and Audient. But I mean, if you had to go with either one, I think you'd be happy with both. Really.
Yeah, yeah, fucking A. Well, I mean, either are probably great, but yeah, it should serve my purposes. This Behringer one is just kind of shitty. Like, I mean, it served me well, but like, yeah, it's all fucked up.
uh,
Um, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, all I was gonna say was like, yeah, I think I'll let you go. Like, cook your food. I don't want to be the one who's like, keeping you up and starving.
You're good. It's fine. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna. I don't even know what I'm gonna fucking make. I'm dying though. Yeah. So
Some
it's good
tempeh
talking to
sounds
you though.
good, dude.
I wish I had tempeh. I don't. I don't really have much. I might even have to order food, which kind of sucks. Actually, I have some bananas. Maybe I'll make some oatmeal.
Well, I was gonna say,
All right.
I'll send you like the list for like Dragon Ball. You got the Funimation account, right? Or Crunchyroll?
No, not anymore. I just had it for a while to watch a show or two, but
Oh,
I could always activate it though.
well, I'll send you the the list, and we can go from there.
Yeah. Fucking a. All right. Well, I appreciate that, man. All right. I'm gonna go get some food, but it's good talking to you.
Likewise, man. Always a pleasure.
All right. Yeah, man. Peace out.
Take care.